these at least 3 of these Japanese birds will come and have Christmas around at our house. You know, my youngest son grew up thinking Christmas. Don't think it's Father Christmas Day. He thinks suddenly the place turns into Tokyo. You know, but yeah, no, good. I like it. Like them.
I'd like to go over. I've never been.
Oh man, it's fucking great. It's really great there.
I'd like to see the cherry blossom. You know,
exactly. Now then, although we've been there, as I say, about 25 times or something, we've never been there at that time. And then a couple of years ago, I decided, somebody had the great idea to see. And my wife died about 6 years ago, and my youngest son, he was 18 at that time. He was still, but anyway, the whole kind of, suddenly I got, fuck me, I had a family a minute ago, and it's vanished. And then I want to get to know this, he's 6'4", this guy, my son, right? And so
I hug him upwards.
Yeah. And but I want to get to know him again. So we thought, well, I'll go. Let's go. I said, you want to come to Japan for holidays, son? He goes, yeah. And so we went in April, and at the cherry blossom time. And I said, no, I've been there all those times. I'll tell you, it's a knockout. I mean, we've done things like. These friends of ours out there, they put on this gig at a club, like, so my son and me could play together on, you know, and we'd done this gig, and then we went round this they're quite famous stars over there, and we went over round their house for a while, and then it's like, I don't know, midnight or something, and you go walking out. Now Tokyo is like all windy lanes, you know, that. And anyway, so we walk out of their house, and down one of these windy lanes, there's a little brook running by it, and all these cherry blossoms, right? And all the way along, there's all of these Japanese, right? They're sitting on blankets and getting lushed out on sake, and that's what they do. And when the cherry blossoms come, they go and sit out there at midnight, get just all really smashed. And you sort of walk along, and it's just really groovy. You walk along, go, all right, you know, and there's never any trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, like...
No one's like a lout or kicking off or anything.
I mean, you've been in the middle of Tokyo right at sort of 11 o'clock at night, and everything, they're all out in the tree and all that, but you never see any... You never feel threatened, you never see any trouble, and you never see any cops. You know, you've got to just keep your eyes open, you know, but Japan, it ain't like that. It's really good. Even though they're all kind of karate kids, probably, you know.
Well, that's why no one kicks off, because they all know how to handle themselves. It'll be like a brawl, and no one will win.
Well, for instance, right, they got vending machines in all the cities, right. They got vending machines about every 30 metres along, right? Yeah. These vending machines, there's whiskey in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have never ever seen one kicked. I mean, how long would that last in England?
Yeah.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, someone will kick it in, wouldn't they? Of course. But I never, you don't see that, you know. So, well done.
God, I'd love to go and see him. I'd love to go over there. It must be fucking
good. I mean, there are some very beautiful
women.
There are. They're very, very, very soft. So we used to go kind of every year, and that's like for like 25 years. And then when my wife died, we cancelled all our gigs, and we kind of had we didn't get a tour in for about 4 years after that. And I went twice on holiday in that time, you know, because I just wanted to go there, you know. I went once. I went over my own. Then a couple of years later, I went with my sons.
Yeah. Why did you get the feeling that you should pick up the guitar? What made you that instrument? You know, what drove you?
Well, I can tell you almost exactly, because when I was at school, there's one day we you have to go to a different classroom, do geography.
Yeah.
So we go to this different classroom and sit down, and now in the desk I was sitting in, there was somebody had been making a guitar, you know, in woodwork.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, and it was hanging by the side of the desk I was sitting, and I was looking at it. I was absolutely fascinated by it. Really, really, I just, you know, you just give me I don't know, just some kind of,
drove towards it.
Yeah, it was there was just something fascinating about it. And so I decided I would, yes, I would like to do this. And I didn't know anything about music, or
yeah, the basics.
I did. You know, I mean, I did.
You never did the Burt Weedon.
You didn't used to hear. I mean, talking about music at all. I mean, I didn't have get records. I mean, this is when I'm about 15, right? And you didn't even hear any music. I mean, talking about pop music or rock music on the radio at all, apart from about maybe 2 hours on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I didn't really. So anyway, I started to. I got a very, very cheap guitar for Christmas or something.
Yeah.
This guitar, I'm left-handed.
Right,
And this guitar was, you play it this way around, and I'm playing right, left-handed.
Yeah.
But I was really crap at doing it right, and I couldn't learn. I was really slow. And everybody in school could play better than me. And after a while, after some time of this, I thought, that's right, I had an opportunity to buy another second-hand guitar that was a bit better than my one. This is a right-handed guitar. And I thought, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn to play right-handed and tell myself that I've only just begun playing. And that way I won't feel so stupid, you know. So I started... it's very hard to do, actually.
How did you hold the plectrum then?
Well, I don't use the plectrum.
I know, that's what I thought. I thought
in fact, because all sorts of other problems. I'm just picking the thing up, right? You can't put it round the right way, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
all right.
Sorry.
I couldn't play left-handed.
But I mean, it's like, I mean, I couldn't now.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't then really, but you know, well, that's how I got started doing it.
So did you sort of, with your guitar style?
Yeah.
It's like I thought your influence was obviously, and you're friends with, well, you were friends with Mick Green.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of when you heard the first track on the radio, how did you go about trying to work out how he played it?
Well, I mean, first of all, when I first heard him, I literally stopped walking half across the room. You know, the sound of this guitar, and I was just intrigued by that. And then I saw them on the television, miming to this record that later that week, you see, and I mean I knew they was miming, and I thought, what's going on? Because normally groups had a lead guitar and rhythm guitar, and there's this band with just one guitar player, and I'm thinking, it's Greenish, and I'm thinking, what's happened here, obviously, is the lead guitarist must be off sick, and this rhythm guitarist is just pretending to do that, you know. But then I found it. No, mate, he does it. And you know, once I found that out, this guy makes all that. I started trying to learn how to do it. Now it was very hard. I mean, I didn't have any opportunity to actually see him live for quite a while, and I just got all the Johnny Kidd and the Pirates records I could find that had got him playing on it, and just, you know, you're just playing them over and over again, just trying to see what's happening there, and trying to get it, you end up with your own style. You know, I mean, I ended up not sounding like him, but I mean that's where it all. What I wanted to exactly imitate him. I was trying to rip him off absolutely, and I couldn't succeed because he's a bit too clever for me.
See, when I first started listening to you, I tried to copy your style, but I found it. You know, when you're hitting that rhythm, and then you put in those lead licks, it blows my mind how you manage to just add those in. It's almost, well, it is like a second guitarist here. I just can't do that. I've tried so hard.
But to me, I always say, but listen, man, it's just so simple. It's embarrassing, and it's just skiffle, really. And I think that the way I play is like, first and foremost, I'm playing the rhythm.
Yeah.
And if you just keep strumming with the right hand, and making the chords your left hand, and any little licks you want to put in, just do them. You'll find they happen.
Just
not
fit
magic.
it in.
Yeah.
So maybe like a Zen-like state. Or
people
something.
Can't go, wow, it's impossible. I mean, in the early days of Dr. Feelgood, people, the roadies would tell me, the people who come down and go, all right, where's the tape recorder? And you're going, what? And they're going, that guy ain't doing all that, you know. And I'm thinking, how can people find this so, you know, like it's so easy to do? Yeah. And then the first time I actually saw myself on film doing it, I thought, I can't see what I'm doing. I can't
That's
see
what I mean.
Yeah.
When I was looking at videos, your right hand's going, and it doesn't seem to be picking the notes out.
No, because it's not, you see.
Yeah. So what I wondered, you know, cell block number 9?
Uh-huh.
Right, I just want to know, because most people use like a kill switch, or they turn the bass pickup off and like toggle it. How do you get that machine gun sound?
Well, it's like you see, if you just lift your fingers off of the frets and you're just on the string,
so it's just
the
running
string's
the
dead,
frets.
right? Yeah. Like that. Yeah, pretty simple.
So it can be pretty.
I mean, although some years ago. Again, actually, I was with one of these Japanese ladies, and she had been staying at our place for a while, and she was just due to go back to Japan, right? And it was Christmas time, funnily enough, and I said I would accompany her up to London, and I had this bottle of whiskey. Right, and I was drinking and I was just so drunk, it was embarrassing. And we were right by Trafalgar Square. It was icy. And suddenly I slipped up. I mean, I slipped over and I went back and I put my arm down to save myself. I could almost hear the tendons ripping. You could feel it. I thought, Jesus, that's going to hurt. I mean, I couldn't feel anything. Yeah. And some public spirited citizen called the police and that. And I'm lying there and he's cut and they were quite good about it and left me in the care of this Japanese lady. Now, my arm, it really hurt. And I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play. For quite a while. Then I found I could play, but then it was when you were in certain keys that it particularly hurt when you're holding your arm at an angle. Now, one of these keys happened to be the one where in the show that we did that time, what I used for the machine gun bit. Yeah. Right? So, you come to the machine gun bit, you put your arm in this position, it starts to really hurt. Not only is it really, you've got to do the machine gun, you've got to shake the guitar to make it look like the gun going, and you've got to look really hard at the same time. But you're almost in tears from pain, you know. So that was a difficult one.
That must have been bad.
Suffer for your art. You've got to suffer for your art.
I've heard that, you know, I know, what I was going to say at the start was sort of there's two people that to me have defined the Telecaster. It's Muddy Waters and you, basically. And I thought, did you ever get a chance to see Muddy Waters?
I saw Muddy Waters 3 or 4 times, actually. First time I saw him, in the 60s sometime. Yeah. I saw him at Newcastle City Hall. And the last time I saw him was in, must have been 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. And when he was playing with his Johnny Winter.
Oh yeah,
Edgar Winter. One of those winters.
One of the winters.
Yeah,
it was a cold winter.
It was he was old by then. He was like sitting down to play, and this was a CBS convention. I'd gone over there with Lee Brillo to business or something. Anyway, Muddy Waters playing. We went there. It's like this big banqueting hall. Everyone's sitting there keeping their pose well together, you know, and banqueting and watching these stars. And Muddy Waters, they come on, right, and it come on the, I think about the second song, man. He takes a solo, right, and he come in for another chorus or another 12 and I just jumped up and started cheering, you know. It was, whoa.
It was amazing.
You know, I think like Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, and John Lee Hooker were.
Howlin' Wolf doing Evil.
I mean, particularly to me, those 3 were like absolute giants of music. Yeah. You know, that really bloody great.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to the Electric Mud album, Howlin' Wolf? Muddy Waters.
I had this misfortune once in the 70s, I do believe.
I thought I quite liked it.
Well, you see, you're a whippersnapper, you know. And you got, I thought it would. I know that they didn't like it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You know, well, when Howlin' Wolf worked with them, the title was something like "Howlin' Wolf hates this album," Do you
what
like
could
it
they
as
do?
well?
Yeah, but I mean, I think it was. I mean, these people, they're very, very great musicians and that, and they weren't really recognised in America. It was only when the Rolling Stones went there.
Yeah.
And started, bigging
Showing
them up
the
and that,
people
and then there was a period when these, that people were all looking for these chess records and bluesmen and that, and they had a spurt in the mid '60s, and then they're trying to sell records, do this and do that, and I don't. And that's not my favourite way of hearing them.
I know what you mean.
I like to, they're original.
Did you watch that blues documentary by Mark Levin? It's about the relationship between blues and modern music. Chuck D said the blues was an adult pastime and rock and roll was more of a kid's pastime. Would you say the Feelgoods were more influenced by blues or rock and roll? I know it's hard to say.
I grew up in the '60s, you see, and I saw the kind of. I can remember the rock and roll beginning, right?
Yeah.
And most of the music in this country first called crap. But I mean, I saw the Beatles. And
where did you see them?
At Southend Odeon. Fucking hell, man!
Screaming, I guess. Could you hear them?
I saw them. I couldn't hear them. Yeah. Right? It was just like the curtains and everything, and the curtains open, and everybody. I mean, all of us. I was 16, I think. Everyone just jumped up and started screaming, and it was fantastic. It was really exciting, and you could just about make out what song they were singing if you saw who's singing this. You could just about, but you really couldn't hear it. I mean, they didn't have PAs and that in those days, and so I mean, I went through all that and finding it was a little while after that, particularly because of the Rolling Stones. Really, I think you're finding out about blues music, and blues music was, I mean, like first hearing these great blues people that it was just like an absolute mystery how you never heard music like this, and how did they do it?
I mean,
and we didn't now. I ended up really liking that, and then right up into Jimi Hendrix and everything.
Yeah.
And when the Feelgoods got together, I mean, Lee and the others, they'd followed us, and they're a few years younger than me.
Yeah.
But they'd followed a similar thing. They were into old blues and stuff, And
it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I always find, I don't know if you like him, but I'm not a big fan. Like the way Eric Clapton plays blues, I always find that incredibly bland. It's a bit like he doesn't do it for me.
Exactly.
I don't understand it. See, to me, Wilko Johnson is a better guitarist 100% than Eric Clapton, because Eric Clapton, he's boring. I
think so. No, I think to me, it's always, I've always found it like that, to be bland. And also, I mean, I've never tried to play blues. I've never thought I'd play blues. Like I say, when I first heard this music, it was like some mystery, but when we got that band together, we were talking, let's put this band together, and what we're going to do, we want to play some of this sort of, blues music, R&B and stuff. And we had a rehearsal around someone's house, and what we're doing is we'll do this stuff, but we'll learn some pop songs from the top 10 or whatever, so we can get some gigs, And I think Lee had this little Walter album. And he put it on and just started playing. I said, oh, fuck all this pop stuff. Let's do this, right? And so we kind of started off with
My Babe.
Yeah. I think, as I say, we never thought of ourselves as a blues band, but that we were playing blues. It was more playing like what used to be called R&B.
Yeah.
But that means
obviously I was born 1987, so it was like, right, listen to it. No, just listen to this. So I've had a cavalcade of music that I've never been into, and sort of when a lot of my friends when I was about 18 got into punk, with the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
And I always thought, It's good. It's got a driving beat. It's very primal. But then I heard the Feelgood, and it's so good. But how come when you split up from the Feelgoods, how come you didn't start a punk band? I wondered why.
I did not intend to. They threw me out, you know. I didn't plan for that to happen, and I didn't know what to do. And if I proceeded to do all the wrong things for quite a while.
Yeah.
Also, at that time, I got to know most of the punk music, you know, like the Pistols and the Clash and people like that. I got to meet them, and in fact, they'd all been pretty influenced by Feelgoods, you know, the year before, and I could see what was happening there. You see, I thought when Feelgood started succeeding, I thought it was going to lead to a sort of R&B thing, you know, and it didn't. The punk thing come next. Now, what the punks got from us, if you like, was the fact of simplicity and straightforwardness and energy and that. I mean, before for us, it all got very elaborate, you know, big super techno rock or something.
Hours with the Hammond organ, just
indeed,
and the move.
I kind of dug what these punk characters were doing. Like I was saying, I used to have a lot of them sleeping on my bloody floor at one point. But
it was
you see, they're what they were coming from. They were drawing from very recent times. You see, but my music was still going back to the sort of 60s, or the music I was hearing in the 60s. So, which wasn't really punk.
Well, how did you feel? You know, I know that you played with Heinz, or Heinzy, and have you seen the Telstar film?
No.
Have you seen? Right. Well, he's portrayed as, what's the best way to put it? I've written it down here. A mediocre talent pushed by Joe Meek.
Well,
that's how he was.
I think mediocre talent is exaggerating a bit. I think Heinzy was an absolutely talent-free area. I mean, he was no good at all, right? Absolutely no good at all.
How did it feel backing him for that gig at Wembley? Was it?
Well, that was just so weird because I just quit being a school teacher.
Yeah.
And we all we'd done before that, like we played at little the Railway Hotel Pitsy and that, you know. Yeah. And then suddenly, being on, I was standing there thinking, look at it, and I was thinking a couple of things, thinking this is like a dream, and thinking this is rather good, you know. Like, although musically it was probably quite disastrous. I mean, Heinzy, all through the morning, the monitors weren't working.
Right.
It was the first time I'd ever even seen monitors anyway. They did not work. Now, one of the arts of back in Heinz was whenever he lost his place in a song, you jump in, you know, you jump in and catch up with him and stuff like that, right? We could not hear what he's doing, right? So the music was all over the place. And at one point, Heinz comes over to me and goes, "Come at me really fast with the guitar." All right, so I go toward, and he throws this kind of inept karate kick in my direction.
Backstage, the house is now open. The house is now open. Thank you.
Thank you. Voice of God.
Yeah, right. But what he did do was his foot, he kicked all along the machine head to my guitar. He knocked every single tune out of the street, every one, man. And then I'm standing in front of this Wembley Stadium, right? The guitar's totally out of tune. We can't hear what's going on. And funny enough, there was a little mention of us in the New Musical Express. You know, like it had a brief bit about the acts that were on in the morning, and it said about Heinz. Said Heinz were backed by Dr. Feelgood, and saying that they were, who were pretty bad. They were often losing time and often playing out of tune. and I thought,
it was all his fault.
But it was great because I mean, for 2 or 3 years later, we're getting famous and that. And Mickey Farron, I see Mickey Farron in Dingwalls, and And I said, do you know you wrote the first ever write-up of Dr. Feelgood? He said, no, man, that wasn't me. I said, no, it was, man. You said we were crap. You know, he was quite right.
Because I know that, how did you start playing with, moving a bit forward, like 10 years forward, fucking how did you come play with Ian Dury?
When we were playing the London pubs and that, the pub rock incident is...
I don't call it pub rock, yeah.
And pubs are a kind of venue, not a kind of music. But anyway, we'd heard about this scene before we started playing on it, and we'd gone up to check out. And then we got a couple of gigs up there, and we'd gone up to check out the sort of thing that was playing there. And I don't really think much of a lot of these bands, right? But when I saw Kelvin and the High Rose, fantastic, just, you know, like, bloody hell, this is something else, you know, and they were just so weird and good, and so we became quite friendly with them, and often we did a fair few gigs together, so I knew Ian and Davey Payne, the sax player, quite well, and then years and more went by, and the Stranglers were the guitar player had been thrown into prison, and they had these 2 nights they were supposed to play at the Rainbow in London, and they didn't want to. They decided not to blow the gigs out. What they did was they thought, well, we'll invite all the people we can think of to everyone's get up and play 1 or 2 numbers with us, right? And sort of pals with Jean Jacques, you know, so they'd asked me, so kind of at this gig were David Payne and Ian Dury. Now, Ian had become successful then with the Blockheads, and I didn't know the Blockheads, I just knew Ian, right? And Davey Payne had come up to me on the first night, and he's going, "Well, Wilko, how you doing?" And I'm going, "Oh, I'm give it up, you know, I'm fed up, you know, that's my default position." And the next night, Ian come up. He said, "David Payne said to me, you know," I said, "Tell you what, do you want to come down? The Blockheads are in the studio now. Do you want to come down and make a single with the block?"
Yeah.
I went, "Yeah," because the thing was, you see, I can remember the first time I seen them was on the telly on this live show, and then the next time, I'm like, "Did you see him? Did you see that fucking bass player?" I said, "What a man!" And he was my favourite bass player. And I thought, well, I just want to go and play, and which I did. I think what they were actually doing was checking me out for them to join. And then just like Ian said, "Well, do you want to join the block?" So I went, "Yes."
I always find Norman plays like he's got a 6-string bass, but he's only got 4.
Norman is absolutely phenomenal player, the best player. I mean, he's always been, from the minute I first saw him, my favourite player and bass player. And he's also a very fine fellow, right?
Yeah.
You know, so a large impulse to join the Blockheads was just to play with Norman, right? And of course now he's mine.
Well, what was it like? What was it like writing songs with Ian Dury? You know, with the Laughter album.
When they were doing that when I joined the band, and first of all I did, you know, I thought, well, I didn't want to interfere with anything.
Yeah.
And because Chaz Jankel had left.
Yeah.
And Ian was collaborating with the various members of the band, and then one day Ian's going, "Well, Wilk, do you want to come? You know, I've got a couple of songs." And so I say, "All right." So I go around his place, and he shut. So Ian just used to just write lyrics. He was sitting there and write one and type lyrics, right? And say these 2 lyrics now, and because I look at them and I'm just thinking, I knew straight away what the song was, you know, the lyric there. And I didn't like to say, "Right, I've got it." I said, "Well, I'll go and think about it, and I'll tell you." You know, and next day I went along and I done. Well, to make it very easy to do, you see, that, because when you got that whole lyric thing is what very important in.
When I would like to talk about Barbed Wire Blues for a bit. I mean, I thought with that album that I think differently from other albums that you've done is that I could see. I mean, you might disagree here, but I could see a Bob Dylan influence. You know the phrasing of the way you sang, and the sort of remind me when Bob Dylan went electric. You know, that sort of that vibe. Is that the sort of thing that you were going for? Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
No, great if you say that. That's great. I mean, I worship Bob Dylan like most people of my generation. I kiss his dirty shoe. I mean, he's everything about his music. It was just so. You know, right. He took songs into a whole different areas, and his whole way of singing and everything. I love and I mean, and if there's any twinge of that in what I do, I'm very glad.
It was like that song, Barbed Wire Blues. I mean, you know, when you sort of turned Howlin' Wolf on its head when you said, "I asked my mum for water, but she gave me turpentine." I love that. I love that phrasing.
Yeah.
You know, the changing, the moving on of a lyric to a different generation.
I mean, or other people might just call it ripping off. You know, but but no. I mean, I liked with lyrics and that. I like them to. There's one thing like Dylan, the Cockles, excellent at. They've got all that. They've got all that feeling and vividness of blues, you know, and there are all these ideas inside, you know, the blue, which is where everything comes from in the end. All these because basically what is this music about? It's like it's I love you, baby, but you've done me wrong, you know. And there's different ways of saying that, and there's all different. Phrases, you know.
We've got there's a question from a Facebook member that I asked. I put on the Facebook forum on your forum. What question would people like to hear? And the question was, what brand of curly guitar cord do you use?
What?
You know, you have the curly chords.
Oh,
what brand? Everyone wants to know.
Anyone I find they're very hard to find now.
Yeah.
And so generally, if anyone sort of spots a red curly cord in a music shop, you can say, "Well, I'll buy all of those," you know. And the one I'm using at present actually it has got Vox written on one plug. So whether it's anything to do with Vox or what, I don't know. But
what amp do you use?
The amp I'm using now is called a Cornell. And they're quite expensive, these things, but they are made. In fact, just the guy that made them, they're just round the corner from where I live. This guy, and he makes these amplifiers, and they're like, according to the old-fashioned Fender print, there's no printed circuit in them.
Yeah.
It's all just
hand-wired.
He's sitting there and he's just soldering away. There are all these wires and that, and somebody, a couple of years ago, somebody. Gigs that had one of these things. So what do you think of this? And I tried it. Well, that's really good. And found out they were being made nearby. So I went around and got one off of him. And jolly good it is too. But if I can't get that, I just like to use a Fender.
Yeah. So let's move even further forward and talk about the television program, Game of Thrones. Is it that you how did that come about? How did that? Because it blew my mind because I saw it advertised on TV.
Have you seen it on the? They got these big billboards by the side of the road, right? It's all advertised on this Sky Atlantic and all that, right? And there's Sean Bean, right, posing away there. You can see me up there. Well, I think it was Julian Temple who made the Oil City, who put a word in somewhere. And anyway, we got this these people got and said, would I like to come and audition for this thing? Yeah. You see, so we're driving up on that, and I knew that this part I play, it was great because the fellow that I play has had his tongue cut out. There's no lines to learn. I don't have to learn any lines, right?
Do you get paid as an extra though, or as a member? Because you don't talk.
Because what I wanted, see, I'm the King's executioner, and I just got to look, I hate everyone, and it's just got to look like that, looking very angry at everyone. And I thought, I'll do that. And the first bit of filming, I didn't know what I thought it was going to be like one of these things you see on the after, like Xena the Princess Warrior,
Oh,
or something
yeah,
like. I thought it was going to be one of them.
Like
So I thought
Hercules or
I thought
something.
that, yeah, exactly. I thought it was going to be. I thought that'd be a laugh. Get over to Belfast with the first bit of filming. I mean, no, man, it's a big production. It's like this, you know, it's HBO, you know, and it was like a proper film and everything, you know. And, well, yeah, it was great, really enjoyable.
Intense. So,
Yeah.
do you feel? Have you seen the Facebook campaign with you saying that there's over 1,000 members saying you should host Sky at Night?
Well, because of my telescope,
Yeah,
seeing that film,
yeah.
and then this has gone on to. This started as a joke.
Yeah.
I do believe, you know, because I'm always kind of saying, now look here, you know, I don't know anything about astronomy. In fact, I delivered a lecture at the Elephant Fair in Cornwall last summer,
Yeah.
and talking about, in fact, it was entitled, my lecture was the Wilko Johnson Space Explorer, and I'm talking all about, you know, my telescope and that, but actually I'm talking more about falling off my bike and stuff like that than actually the galaxies.
Yeah.
But I believe that Alan Yentob had seen an early cut of the film,
Yeah.
and had remarked to Julian Temple, we should get this guy to do Sky at Night, you see. And Julian had said it at a question and answer thing at one of the shines of the film, and it just took off from there, you know. So it's nothing to do with
Maybe
me.
in the future.
I have no ambitions to overthrow Sir Patrick.
Well, I went to the when they played it at Leeds. Julian Temple was doing a talk, and he was saying that. And actually, at the time, I thought, "Will this happen?" But it was like they're saying, Oil City Confidential has sort of turned where now everyone refers you to sort of like a national institution and a great British eccentric. Is it? How do you feel about that? Are you happy with it, or would you rather lead the quiet life of sort of, you know?
Oh yeah, I hate it when everyone's looking at me and saying that I was right. No, I mean, the film has actually made quite a bit of difference, to the work we're getting and the money we're getting, and it's bumped the whole thing up. Like, it's not actually directly about us, but there I am. And, well, let me tell you, yesterday, in between rucks with this Japanese person on the Skype, right, I'm sort of, I think, oh, blood, I'm starving. I'm thinking, she's really brought me down, right? I'm just really, you think, I'm really pissed off, and I realise I haven't got anything to eat, so I think I'll go out and I'll go and walk down Tesco's. I go in Tesco's, there's this young lad works in there, right, and a few weeks ago he'd come bursting up and going, can I have your autograph? And he's going, you're my hero, and he's going to put the autograph on his wall and all that. Everyone's looking, you know. Anyway, he was in there, and I was like, well, hello mate, all right, you know, and that pleased him. And then I'm walking out, and I'm walking back with my groceries, and suddenly a guy come dashing out of this furniture shop. Sort of middle-aged guy, and he comes and said, "You're Wilko Johnson." I said, "Yeah," and he goes, "I just want to say, man, when I was a teenager, I said you were like a hero to me," and just stuck his hand out and shook hands with me. And then I turned around the corner down my road, and there's this young couple or something I'm seeing with their little girl coming up, and they were going, "Oh, hello," and I'm going, "Yeah, I'll stand and talk to them a bit about shopping," and it's quite nice. Yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah. I noticed that there's an insurgence of new bands that really look well. My band's one of them to talk about. It's a big Manchester sort of group that they're really influenced by Muddy Waters, Howling Wolf, by Sister Rosetta Thorpe as well. One of my favourite.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, 5 more times. I can do a good impression. I'm not going to do it now, but I could try and do a good impression. But, you know, that sort of influence, are you happy with that? I mean, you know, because I thought for a while, especially when I was growing up, it was a drought of rock and roll music and blues. Yeah. And now I feel like with the White Stripes as well, it's sort of coming back. I
think the thing is that in the end, it does all come from there. And you can't go far wrong. I mean, we're just some mates on a local level, want to go out and do a few gigs, and if you really love that, playing that 12-bar kind of music, and people are always going to dig it because it's just nice, you know. You're not being experimental or anything, but you're putting down something that's actually real. And it was like when the Feelgoods, when we started getting successful. In one way, it was like a complete surprise. You know, we never expected. You know, we were a local group. You know. But at the same time, when it started happening, it didn't surprise me because I thought, God, people always like this kind of. If you can play it pretty well, people will like it. You know, and it'll keep coming back. Which a lot of forms of music, you can't say that. A lot of forms of music, you know, styles or whatever, they'll have their day, and then they're gone. You know, but that one.
Yeah, we'll keep.
It's always there. You know, from pop music to jazz. To whatever, that is just a kind of backbone of that music. So I don't think it'll never die.
Do you feel like if you didn't come from Canvey, everything would be different? You know, the band. Do you think it'd be a different? Dr. Feelgood would be a different band. You'd be a different sort of person. You know, musically. Do you think it was the delta? Of,
well, I mean, I think you know, I want to look back on it. I think. Coming from Canvey Island does have an influence on you. I'm particularly like back when I was a lad and all that. People were scared to come over there. You know, you know, it was like the Wild West or something. But it wasn't. It was just a place. And in fact, like any other teenager, I used to think, oh man, why? You know, how come I live in somewhere so prosaic? You know, why don't I live in Louisiana and you know and all that? You know, and then when we started the Feelgoods, we started making jokes about stuff like that. And we come from the Delta, you know, and all that, and we leaned on it a bit as part of what we were, and it was part of what we were, you know. But it's just to laugh.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this interview. It's been an absolute honour of mine. And I hope if I can get you to sign my guitar,
certainly.
I would hope to. Thank you.